Welcome back to the CriblCon 25 show floor. We're here at the CriblCast news desk. My name is Bradley Chambers. I have Alex Sherer here. Welcome, thanks for taking the time. You have a session on Cribl Search. Before we get into that, what's your favorite part of CriblCon?
So far, it's probably been campus experience. The in-person teaching sessions have been fantastic. I think we've been well received, and a new thing for Cribl in general. We think it was a fantastic success.
I heard a lot of great feedback, and that was the first time we had done in-person training.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of Cribl is that, and Clint Sharp, our CEO, has always said this: education will always be free at Cribl, and it's really awesome that customers, when they hire new engineers, they can take the training and then get certified for free. And it's such a simple thing, and like in reality, I don't know why anybody charges for training, because if your business is selling your software, make it easy for people to get trained on it. But I do love that we had this option. If you wanted to learn in person, you can do that. It's fantastic. I remember when I first heard of Cribl Search, and it was in early 2022. With that year, we launched. We did three big things. We renamed Cribl Stream from Logstream. So it used to be called Cribl Logstream, became Cribl Stream. We launched Cribl Edge, and then that November, we launched Cribl Search. And your talk at CriblCon is one of our first customers on Cribl Search, and seeing how this product has evolved and seeing how it's going to continue to evolve in a world of AI has been really, really incredible. How do you think data partitioning strategies for customers evolve before and after they adopt Cribl Search?
The realization that the partitioning strategies that might make sense from an archival perspective, the things that you traditionally use to navigate your way as if you were navigating a bucket, don't necessarily work the best when you're incorporating them into a federated search tool. And the iteration from wanting to be able to maintain the identifying labels that they were used to in their previous bucket structure and having to modify that so that they could extract the maximum amount of performance from search itself going over S3 meant that they had to make several consecutive changes to their partitioning scheme in order to be able to achieve what they felt was acceptable levels of performance from Cribl Search.
Obviously, if you're not familiar with the query language that Cribl Search uses, you might maybe just day one, where do I start? How do you get users comfortable with that? I know obviously the Cribl baking AI into everything is a huge part of that, but how do you get users up to speed with really a new concept of like, you can use this query language to search all of your data regardless of where it's at?
I think one of the easiest things that we've done, At this point, one of the best things that we've done from a usability perspective is to give you Cribl Copilot in the interface of Cribl Search. We know from experience that a lot of customers are used to query languages that are not ours, not Cousteau, and we're also aware that user acceptance is generally one of the harder things that any Cribl champion has to deal with, even internally, having to make their security users or analysts come to grips with yet another tool, yet another query language. And the fact that we offer Copilot as part of the interface to make very quick natural language prompts that make the KQL for you gives you a jumping off point to recognize things that are not that dissimilar from other query languages. Yes, the syntax is slightly different, the names of the functions are slightly different, but once you've prompted Copilot enough to give you queries based on natural language, you can start to actually put together the syntax in a much more natural way yourself. You start to see the similarities, you start to put it together, and it becomes a lot easier when you have an AI instructor saying, that query looks like this based on your prompt.
Well, natural language is, to me, an evolution of technology. If I know what I want as an engineer, I shouldn't have to figure out the computer's language. The computer should be able to take my natural language and figure it out. And that's really where we're at. And you're not having to learn the ins and outs. And we were talking to somebody earlier, talking about, we used to code HTML. And it's not that nobody knows how to do HTML, but technologies evolved in such a way where you can get to the end result much faster without having to know every little character that you have to do. And I think it's really fantastic. When a company is wanting to roll out Cribl Search, how do you get them comfortable with the human side of adopting really a new way to think about their data? Instead of needing to, I got to move it from object storage to my analysis tool to go grab it where it's at and search it where it's at, how do you kind of reframe that thinking?
One of the best ways that we've discovered to work with people to address those concerns is to identify the specific single use cases. Not every time are you going to want to force a security team who's in the middle of a major incident to work with the tool that you want them to adopt? It's not the right time to do that. And moreover, they have potentially a more highly performant tool already in their toolkit, and that's what they can share easily, that's what they can collaborate with easily, and they're just not ready to use Cribl Search at that level. The fact that we offer the flexibility and the choice to replay the data from stream instead of using Cribl Search as the initial entry point, what we can then do is we can introduce, hey, if you're comfortable with replay, now if you spend 1 moment longer and use Cribl Search to reduce your entire S3 bucket down to much more relevant results and then send from there, then we're not trying to displace your very highly performant, very highly tuned security system of analysis, we're augmenting it. And we're returning that level of control and that value of your data right back in without having to drive up storage costs by making you keep all of the data in your extremely expensive security tool.
Well, it's sort of like going from, okay, I have no glasses, to putting glasses on, then I'm going to magnifying glass, I'm going to zone in on what I want, grab that, and then you can focus more on moving the right data back into your analysis system rather than all the data. If a team is wanting to get real business value of Cribl Search day one, do you have any tips for them?
Can you repeat the question, please?
If a team is looking to get real business value out of Cribl Search, day one of adopting it, if you're a Cribl Cloud customer, it's available to you. Do you have any tips for them on getting started?
I would say if you are trying out search, start with one of two things. Either start with the data with which you are most familiar. As any practitioner of search and analysis tools will tell you, you extract the most value out of the tool when you know the data set backwards and front. You know what exists in the data. All you're using is you're seeing how the tool can expose the things that you already know is there. The other option is if you're a true day zero customer, there are certain things that Cribl, from a cloud perspective, import into search by default, free of charge. All of Cribl's internal metrics and Cribl's logs from the infrastructure are available for 30 days free of charge in search. So if you're truly not even at a point where you've begun to use Stream yet, but you have your cloud infrastructure provision, there's logs already in the tool that you can just start poking around in right away.
Finally, do you have, obviously you talk with a lot of customers, if you solve one problem for one team, the hope is that team loves it and solves a real problem. How do you then take what you've learned and let other teams adopt it in the organization so they can even get more value out of Cribl Search?
One of the best things that Search now provides, especially with our most recent release, our most recent preview release of Search Notebooks, is that we try to make the experience that one user has generated portable to other people. As you've already pointed out, one of the hardest things is to be able to disseminate the experience and knowledge of someone who is intimately acquainted with the tool, to pass it on to someone who is just learning for the first time. Knowledge can be imparted via training, Cribl University, as you stated, but often we find that in reality, sometimes excuses are made, sometimes priorities just need to be addressed in a way that someone can't come to you, they can't set the time out of their day, they can't go to university and do that. And so with the delivery of some of these new features like notebooks, you can package up all the searches with their results, with their visualizations, and add the human context of, I was starting here at this investigation, I started in this data set which represents this data, I started looking for these particular key markers, and basically take you by the hand and walk you through the entire sequence of threat investigation or security analysis. We provided a much more comprehensive look into the tool rather than just a Word document with 4 queries and no other context.
Wrapping up, the vibe here is incredible. I know you've got a session to get to. Is this when we were planning your talk, is this the environment you thought? I mean, there is so many customers here, and what's the vibe like today?
I sense that a lot of people are really excited about the things that we've announced and the things that we're working towards. I feel like I see a lot of really happy customers who are genuinely pleased about the things that we're offering them, about Cribl's value in their organization. They ask us questions and they give us sincere feedback, and we take it to heart. Our product managers are here on the demo booths. They're taking questions just as much as the support and success engineers are. And there's a genuine want to make sure that as a company, we're all pointing in the direction that our customers finds is valuable and worthwhile.
I always joke that in our Cribl Slack community, where our customers and partners hang out, if you go into the feature request channel and post an idea, your door may knock in an hour, and it may be somebody from Cribl's product team wanting to know more about that. Because oftentimes, our roadmap is really built for the problems our customers need us to solve. So we're constantly talking to them, and we may not always solve it in the way they're thinking, but we want to go okay, what problem is that? How would you want to solve that? And then we go back and say, okay, let's look at how we can solve that from a first principles perspective. But yeah, that's where, again, you can join the Cribl Slack community. It's cribl.io/community. Go into the feature request channel. If you need help, our team is there. And again, they will follow up. I mean, I've seen our executives in there. I've seen our CEO in there talking to customers about okay, what problem is that? Then we go back and take it to the roadmap. How do we build that? And how do we solve it? And then we get that into the world, and that problem is solved for the customer. So, Alex, thanks for taking the time. I know you have a busy day. Thanks for everybody for tuning in on the CriblCon 25 CriblCast News Desk, and we'll be back later with more interviews and more content.